Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for coming today. My name is Alexis Goldsmith, and I'm a program coordinator for the Sanctuary for Independent Media in Troy. And I want to thank you all for coming. Before we get started, please remember to keep your nose and mouth covered throughout the press conference. Please respect the residents, the professionals, and the press that decided to be here today. Today we're going to talk about Assembly Bill 9952B and Senate Bill 778B, which would ban the burning of AFFF at Norlite, and we're also going to talk about the Albany County Clean Air Law. And I would like to invite the first speaker to the podium, local resident Joe Ritchie.
Hello everybody, my name is Joe Ritchie. I'm a resident of Saratoga Sites. I'm also a current junior at Syracuse University studying political science and Spanish. I've always had a passion in environmental justice. I've been living at Saratoga Sites for about 19 of my 20 years of life, so I've been a lifelong resident here. And I'm here today just to pretty much explain my day-to-day experiences with Norlite when they're burning on a consistent basis, and some steps we can take to be proactive about this issue. So about the past couple years, Norlite's been burning what's been called AFFF, under the knowledge of just themselves, not disclosing it to the community. And once we found that out, we found it to be quite appalling and quite disgusting for the community that we weren't informed about this issue beforehand, because these chemicals are very volatile. They last in the ecosystem forever. That's why they're called forever chemicals. The people that live here are going to be forever victims because it's going to last in their system for a very long time. And there's going to be a lot of different issues that are going to be happening when the years go by. But when they're burning on a consistent basis, daily you can smell once you get out of your car a lot of different chemicals being burned at once. Your nose is burning. There's soot on the windows. It's just a very bad mix. While we have kids playing in the basketball court, and behind me we have kids daily playing in the playground, just trying to be kids. It's very hard to be kids nowadays, especially now that we found out that Norlite was burning these horrible chemicals. I can remember when I was a kid, when I played in the creek, that I would see the creek over there would be littered with pollution. There would be so much oil and residue on top of the water that I wasn't quite sure what it was. And I was very naive to the fact. Behind me, we also have a pond that people go to and they fish. And Norlite is directly next to that as well. People are living their lives despite Norlite being here and polluting the community. And what we're here today is we want to stop Norlite from burning any further AFFF because this is a community that cares. I've been a lifelong Cohoes resident. We've taken very proactive steps in the past few years, in the past few months, I should say, on this issue. And I think we can continue to do a really good job. And one of those things is to support the McDonald-Breslin bill that was passed unanimously among the Senate and the Assembly. We don't often see that nowadays when it comes to politics. And it would be in the governor's best interest to sign this bill. Every day during the coronavirus outbreak, public safety was his number one agenda. Protecting the health of New Yorkers. This bill protects the health of New Yorkers, and we're very, very confident that the governor will sign it. But please urge Governor Cuomo to sign this bill once he gets to his desk, because if this happens, it'll be one small victory in the long war that we have. Today is a really, really hot day, but we're still out here. We're fighting, and we're going to keep fighting until the job is done. Because there's a lot of people here who simply can't move out because of the gentrification that's happening in the area. There's people who are working to provide bread on the table for their families, and this is why we're getting a coalition together to beat Norlite and to really beat Albany County strong, Cohoes strong, and New York strong. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. If you're just joining us, I'd like to let you know that we are standing at Saratoga Sites, which is directly adjacent to the Norlite facility. We're standing in front of the playground. 70 families live in this complex, including Joe Ritchie and his family. The next speaker will be Chris Savinsky, another local resident.
Hi everyone, my name's Chris Savinsky, and I'm here with my wife and family. We're raising 4 kids 1 mile south of here, just next to the Maplewood School. We've been here for about 13 years and have always been concerned about the operations at Norlite. Going back a couple of decades, Norlite has demonstrated a consistent pattern of violations of the Clean Air Act. As recently they settled a complaint with the EPA that detailed many infractions over the course of many years, where their emissions controls were out of control and leading to the emission of dangerous substances and particulates in the neighborhood. That, coupled with the recent discovery of their burning PFAS, has got me and our neighbors really concerned about the health and well-being of the community. So really, I'm here to advocate for the signing of that McDonnell-Breslin bill, as well as any other steps that can be taken to ensure that Norlite's operations are under control. This is all with respect to the health and safety of the many families that live in this area and have to share the air with Norlite's incinerators. So that's just a short statement on why I'm here supporting the signage of this bill, but also other measures that can be taken to make sure that this company is acting within the limits of the law. Looking back at the parent company's track record, they've incurred millions of dollars in fines for violations of the Clean Air Act over the last couple of decades. So this has got to stop. We can't continue to live in proximity of an operation that is so poorly operated that it's incurring violations on a yearly basis. So I really do urge Governor Cuomo to sign that bill. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Chris. If you've just arrived, don't worry. Everybody behind me has agreed to do one-on-one interviews and take questions after this press conference. So again, my name is Alexis Goldsmith, and I would now like to welcome Liz Moran. She's the Environmental Policy Director for the New York Public Interest Research Group.
Good morning. My name is Liz Moran. I am the Environmental Policy Director for NYPIRG, the New York Public Interest Research Group. I'd like to begin by thanking all of the advocates behind me today for their tireless work on this issue and doing the hard work of fighting against the pollution that they're suffering from the Norlite facility that's right by here. There is absolutely no evidence that burning PFAS firefighting foam, or otherwise known as AFFF, is safe. There is no evidence that burning these contaminants will actually effectively break them down and ensure that they are safe for both public health and the environment. And the people of Saratoga Sites, the people of Cohoes, and all the neighboring communities should not be the test subjects for this process. Around 5 years ago, New York State began to deal with its first instance of PFAS drinking water contamination out in Hoosick Falls, New York, but a mere 40 minutes away from here. Not long after that, Petersburg, New York found out about PFAS in their drinking water. Then came Newburgh, New York. Then came a number of communities on Long Island, and there have been more since. We cannot continue to add to this list. Exposure to PFAS contaminants has been linked to a number of serious health illnesses. several cancers, preeclampsia, thyroid disease, kidney disease, immunosuppression, and there could be many more. We are still learning about the dangers posed by these contaminants. They are also dubbed forever chemicals. And because of their very nature, they do not break down in the environment. They are designed to be resistant. So they're called forever chemicals. We have to change our ways of the past. Over 50 years ago, we shouldn't have allowed PFAS contaminants to go to market. So we have to correct our ways. And this bill is a crucial way to do so. New York State must lead the way with every protection for New Yorkers against these contaminants. He needs to sign this bill into law ASAP, and thankfully, the advocates here have the backing of over 100 organizations, state and national, supporting this bill being signed into law, a letter that we're releasing today. This legislation would be nation-leading. There is no level of PFAS contamination that is safe. There's no level of PFAS in your blood that is safe. And in the face of continued federal failures to address these contaminants, New York State has to lead. So we urge Governor Cuomo to sign this bill as soon as possible. Thank you all so much. And also a big thank you to Assemblyman McDonald and Senator Breslin for shepherding this legislation, which again passed unanimously in the legislature. There's no question this needs to be done. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Liz. We're standing on the playground at Saratoga Sites. The residents that you see behind me will happily tell you what their experience living next to Norlite has been like. And I would like to welcome our final speaker today, Patricia Sibilia, the president of the Albany County League of Women Voters.
Good morning, and thank you to all who've come out on this very hot and humid day. I'm Patricia Sibilia. I'm the president of the League of Women Voters of Albany County. The League of Women Voters of Albany County is a volunteer-led organization of over 200 members who is actively part of the League of Women Voters of New York State and the National League of Women Voters organization. We are a nonpartisan organization that encourages informed and active participation in government and who works to increase understanding of major public policy issues like this one, and who influences public policy through education and advocacy. We always endeavor to hear all sides of the concerns around issues and to create dialogue in order to obtain the best outcome for all people. The League of Women Voters nationally, statewide, and locally has adopted advocacy positions on clean air, solid waste, public health, and preservation of natural resources for over 50 years of our 100-year history. After reviewing the situation at Norlite and learning that for the last 2 years, they have been burning firefighting foam that contains PFAS chemicals without any environmental review or the legally required test burn, we felt we needed to speak up. And it is even more disturbing that this is happening immediately adjacent to a low-income housing community, and that this environmental injustice was not prevented by our state regulators, the DEC, who had staff people on site during due to prior issues with Norlite, or by the EPA. It is unfortunate that our state and federal government has failed us on this one, and we will fight to see that change. We are thankful that the city of Cohoes passed local law number 4, taking action to try and protect its residents from the potentially harmful PFAS forever chemicals that can remain in a person's body for a lifetime and that are associated with higher incidence of illness. Likewise, we are hopeful that the Albany County Legislature will pass local law B, the Clean Air Bill, which goes for public hearing on July 28th. It seeks to address both the Norlite situation as well as the burning of tires at the Lafarge cement plant across in Queens, that is across from a school. We understand that this legislation is currently being reviewed for legal concerns, and we're waiting to hear the specifics of what those concerns are and how the legislation will change to address them. The League feels that the citizens need to engage on all levels of government, local, county, state, and federal, to protect their rights. This is especially true for this issue. The air pollution created by companies like Norlite and Lafarge do not stay contained within their municipal political boundaries. It impacts surrounding towns and counties. In addition to impacting the air we breathe, it ends up in our soil and in our water. We thank Assemblyman McDonald and Senator Breslin for their leadership and urge Governor Cuomo to sign the proposed state legislation into law to protect our health. Likewise, we ask the Albany County Legislature to protect their citizens by producing legislation that can be adopted into local law B. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Patricia. And now, if any members of the press have questions, we would be happy to take them.
I know you guys have a meeting coming up on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
What are you guys looking to accomplish at that meeting?
So there will be a Norlite Town Hall meeting hosted by the Sanctuary for Independent Media. It's on Thursday, June 23rd at 6:30 p.m. July 23rd on Zoom. We've invited the DEC, and we've also invited Joe Ritchie, and who's the third panelist? What? Oh yes, Jane Williams from Sierra Club, who's the plaintiff in the lawsuit against the Department of Defense. So we're hoping to give DEC a chance to explain what their stance is on this issue. We're hoping to get an update from Jane Williams and, of course, Joe Ritchie. And this will be a chance for people who don't know a lot about this issue, who live next to Norlite, because this is a densely populated area, to learn about the bill, the Albany County Clean Air Law, and the effects of living next to a hazardous waste incinerator.
What is the process for the bill? Like, what is the next step for that? What is the time period of when it could be passed?
Maybe Liz could answer that question.
It might be good to repeat the question too, because we're not getting any audio.
Sure. So the question was, what's the next steps for this legislation? So thankfully, this legislation did pass unanimously in both the Senate and Assembly. So at this point, we're waiting for it to be delivered to the governor and for his signature. And then once it's signed, the residents of Cohoes can live free and clear of PFAS burning, and hopefully this sets a precedent for the rest of the state and the rest of the country, because unfortunately Cohoes, New York is not the only community that is contending with PFAS burning, and this is absolutely a process that needs to stop. Yes.
Any other questions?
I guess for any of the residents, Joe, has there been any issues in the past month or a couple of months, recent issues going on when it comes to Norlite?
So the question was, has there been any issues in the past couple months regarding Norlite? And I would say absolutely. Just the other day, I think last week or the week before, there was this humongous dust cloud coming from Norlite into the facility. And it was quite unacceptable. It was literally like a dust cloud, like you would see in almost like the desert, because they have these gigantic piles of just dust, these very fine particles that are on the facility, on the ground, so you could see for yourself if you really wanted to see. And they're not wetting them down. They're just keeping them dry, and when the wind starts going, it starts going over to the communities, and if it gets high enough in the air, you can't see it at all. It's this very fine particulate matter that's having devastating effects on people's lungs. Anything that's not oxygen is not good to breathe. So breathing in this dust, this soot, is absolutely unacceptable. It's a violation of our human rights because we have no idea what we're breathing. We should have the right to clean air, and we don't have that right here. And another thing is that a couple months ago, when they said that they would stop burning, I caught them a few times at night burning full blast. And I'm not sure what that was. I asked DEC and I asked the city, and they told me it was test burning. But it was a very large and consistent burning for hours on end. But after we raised questions about that, they stopped their shenanigans there. So there's continued issues. Norlite will continue to have these issues until it is properly shut down. They only listen to the people who fill their pockets, and they don't listen to the people who live and breathe and raise their families just 500 yards away. So
So my understanding is that the PFAS chemical situation is actually just the tip of the iceberg, and this has been going back for decades,
Yes.
and that they were recently fined by the EPA for a number of infractions. Could you talk a little bit about that?
yeah, so again, the PFAS is just a very smidgen of what Norlite actually does. They also burn over 400 other different chemicals that have devastating effects if they're breathed in, because once these chemicals mix with each other, they're focusing on these chemicals not blowing up. But these chemicals do form into harmful gases like dioxins, fluorines, and things that is unacceptable for human respiratory system. So what just recently happened was the EPA just fined Norlite for not sufficiently cleaning their stacks and not burning at a sufficient level. They've been hours, thousands of hours on end, I think, without doing the right thing. And one could suggest that in the past couple years, that maybe the AFFF was burnt during those thousands of hours at insufficient levels, which would mean that these chemicals would break down into smaller ones and go into the soil and possibly even the drinking water. So there's a lot of really horrible things going on in Norlite daily that are being kept a secret because no one is looking for them. But if you look for it, you'll find the devil in the details, I think. Anybody else?
Chris, do you want to say anything about recent activity at Norlite?
No, I would just second what Joe just mentioned, that you can look back at the EPA website. All of this is public information. You can see detailed descriptions of each and every violation. Every aspect of their emissions control system is implicated, and they admitted fault and paid fines. As a result, these are violations to the United States Clean Air Act. It's all on the EPA website, easy to find with this quick Google search, and it's infuriating as a local resident, to be honest with you. So I would just second what Joe said, that we're all very, very concerned about the operations across that railroad there, and we want some answers from state and local officials and some tighter controls on this business. Again, you look back at their record, 20 years, millions of dollars of fines to the parent company and Norlite specifically. We've got to get this under control. Thanks.
Have you gotten any feedback from the DEC on this issue?
Joe might be better to answer that. He arranged a meeting just 2 days ago with the commissioner and some of his top staff. So, but I would say we're getting somewhere. But Joe, you want to?
So the question was, have we gotten really any answers from the DEC on these issues? And the answer is kind of. I held a meeting with DEC, the Commissioner Sagos. I just want to thank him for coming out during his busy schedule with everything, and I understand that. And we had a really great dialogue between him and his staff, and a bunch of us also that are here. We're also there. But pretty much, he told me that he's going to focus on Norlite never burning these chemicals ever again, the AFFF, and that he's really going to start looking at this issue because until just recently, the issue really wasn't brought up in DEC, and he had no idea that these issues were happening. So that's why we're here. We're here to advocate and to really tell them what's going on. And there will be a future community meeting, a larger meeting with the commissioner and the community of Cohoes in Albany County, because this is an issue that's going to last forever, because Norlite is on their permit renewing process, and they're going to be treating the process as if it's a new application. So they're going to be a lot more critical on Norlite, but only time can tell to see if they're actually going to be critical. So the only real answers that we got from the meeting is that they're going to be critical and they're going to make sure that Norlite doesn't burn the AFFF. But what we don't know is if they're going to send a letter of support to the governor with the McDonnell-Breslin bill. We have no idea. We have no idea if Norlite is going to continue doing what they've been doing, lying to the public, doing what they can to get by, pay the couple $100,000 fines here and there, and continue to destroy our communities. So what we're doing now is that we're just playing a waiting game, but as we keep playing this game, people's lives are being hurt. They're being forever damaged because these are forever chemicals that are in the atmosphere already. It's just a ticking time bomb right now. And I've been telling this to officials time in and time out. We have to do something today. Something should have been done years ago. But today is when we need to really start acting. So, yeah. Anything else?
Thank you all for coming today. I will just remind everybody that we've been discussing the ban to burn AFFF in the state Senate. It's Senate Bill 9952B. In the state assembly, it's 9952B. In the Senate, it's 778B. Those passed unanimously. In Albany County, it's the Albany County Clean Air Law, also known as Local Law B. And this whole time, we've been standing next to the Norlite facility. It's right across those train tracks, and we've been hearing industrial sounds coming from there. And I would remind everybody that there will be a town hall on this issue next Thursday, July 23rd at 6:30 p.m. It's online, and even if you don't do Zoom, you can just call in. You can find the registration at mediasanctuary.org, but you do have to pre-register or go to facebook.com/mediasanctuary. And especially a big thank you to all of the residents and experts who came out today to talk about this issue.